a person physically has to go out there and inspect the growth and report back. Okay, this is growing fine, but this one is in a drier area and it's not really doing well. This is a physical type of work that an expert looks at, and there is automation in there. How? Take pictures of the plants, take pictures of the leaves or the fruits, right? But still, somebody has to talk and say, well, this is happening, that's not happening. That physical inspection of and data collection of is the hardest thing for AI to replace. Salesperson have to go in there, talk to that individual, build that. That's not what AI does. But if you have augmented intelligence with that salesperson, then they can focus on building stronger relationships.
AI is not going to replace salespeople because the greatest salesman can read the room. AI is not going to read the room. That salesman walks in and he's going to see if there's a commotion, not even in 20 years. And if it does, how much are those robots going to be? Or drones? And, they're going to be annoying.
It's not even efficient for the human relationship. It's the relationship between two humans, I believe, is not going to be replaced with a human to a robot relationship, no matter how realistic you can make it. The sales is an art. Salespeople are the ones who understand the reason the owner is coming to work, and they adopt that same reason. They say, I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm trying to figure your problems out.
Mehdi, I could have definitely used you or used your brain 7 years ago when I started this journey. You could have slapped me around and said, John, just tell us what happens in the field. Let us build it. And when you don't have any clients, not a lot of people believe in you, but I believe in me.
And now the man you've been waiting for, John, the sales machine, Rankins.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is literally a genius. He's built a 9-figure company and exited companies 4 or 5 times, and really from a place of servitude and making a difference in the world. Mehdi Tehranchi, a seasoned software entrepreneur with a proven track record of building and exiting successful startups. As co-founder and former CEO of Notable Solutions Incorporated, which led to a 9-digit exit to Nuance Communications, Mehdi has mastered the art of turning innovative ideas into business gold. Now, with his latest venture, KnowledgeNet, he's harnessing AI to deliver actionable relationship insights that empower teams to close more deals. A recognized entrepreneur with national awards like Deloitte Technology, Fast 500, a board member, inventor, and EY Entrepreneurs finalist, Mehdi brings deep technical expertise and strategic vision to the world of sales and business growth. Let's welcome him to the show. How you doing, Mehdi?
It's been quite interesting. So I'll tell you a little story. During my last startup, I got introduced in Dominican Republic to an orphanage. And that orphanage is supported through a church in Ohio. And I started working with the church, just giving them small donations, a couple of $100. But long story short, it's 17 years now that I have seen the orphanage kids grow through 4 different engagements with different companies. Because when I coach companies, I just tell them to donate my consulting fees to the orphanage.
Nice. I love it.
It's when you ask how many lives have you gone through, it's kind of like multiple different experiences, living this kind of like experience with options trading. You see Options City in my background. You probably checked my LinkedIn. Options City was a trading desk for options and futures. And I helped them for 3.5 years and they exited very successfully. That by itself was a whole experience in sales because you're trying to sell to a high-speed futures trading in energy sector, in the commodity sector, versus my previous startup before that was imaging. And how do you get across these two and kind of still live, but at the same time be able to carry the task of kind of making the world a better place as we have this journey through it.
Yeah, amazing. I went through your bio again and again, and I'm like, man, how many lives have you actually not just touched, but how many lives have you lived yourself? It's amazing the work that you're doing. And, you're like, one of your mottos is, spend time with really smart, intelligent people to build big things. And you did that.
Yeah, I mean, another story, my the imaging started with 3 people in a garage. So we literally were in a garage, kind of like surrounding, kind of like what you see in my background. And we built a company. One of us was from Armenia. The gentleman, I spoke to him today, Henrik is his name. Smartest guy I would know. The other one was my brother, and he can sell anything. He can go and sell just anything. Right. And that combination proved to be really the right combination, because we ended up to be about 300 people. And towards the end, we sold it to Voice of Siri, Nuance.
Okay.
Exited quite well. When we exited, there was 13 millionaires who walked off the floor because of the stocks and options and so on. We were running in Europe, South America, North America, and we were opening up a branch for Southeast Asia.
Yeah, that is notable, right?
Yeah, notable solutions. And it gave me a prospect of running a complete international company in products in 17 different languages offered across the globe, 30,000 customers before we exited.
Yeah, absolutely remarkable. It's so funny. I'm working on a project right now, literally in the software space. I built a company called The Sales Machine, and that's outside of this podcast. And the podcast is just about helping others understand business and how to scale business in sales, marketing, or operations and efficiency, which you're an expert at, and actually creating those solutions. And I recently went to one of the colas, if you know what I'm talking about, the big colas, and we're talking about the challenges they face. And it's literally, they have field reps, thousands of them all over the, every different continent and country. And I'm not going to name the exact one because we're in negotiations right now, because I'm building out the system for them on top of our system as an example. And I realized, because I started out, Mehdi, knocking on doors, going door to door. And that's how I built my wealth, not in the 9 figures like you, but hey, I'm still on my journey. So anyway, I go into this cola company, and they're like, we have thousands of reps. We can't keep track of them. Half of the time they're offline, half the time they're online. And even when they go online, they're non-techie. They're, a lot of them are just high school graduates. They never went to the university, and they're not technical. So anyway, I look at your bio and I go through notable, and I'm like, man, I'm working on this right now. You've been doing this since 95 and already exited for 9 figures. Did I come too late?
It's the journey just keeps repeating, though, what you're saying. When I take a look at telecom, was my first company, and you remember the .com.
Yeah.
Right? It started as nothing, 1990s, and then boom, it grew. Our first client was MCI. But you went through the same thing. We thought we had made it. We thought this is the easiest thing. We were just giving each other a high five when we were, landing deals. And overnight, literally was like bust. We were down on the ground, like, what the hell just happened, right? So this is a cycle. What you're talking about is just figuring out what is the next wave of automation. Where is the demand going? Where is, something I heard and I share with you, and I just think about it, that money is like a person. It has feelings. It goes where it likes to be, right? It gets away from places that are bad and wrong and, corrupt, and areas that you don't want to kind of, just like that. That's what I heard a long time ago. And if it is secure and if there is demand, that's where it's going. In telecom, it was the demand. AI, same thing. It's the demand. It's getting rid of some tasks, automating it, making it faster. Back in the telecom days, it was all about information and internet. The thing wasn't available across the world, and let's see how we can make it work across the world. Imaging, same thing. Everything was really locked into paper, right? And then
Yeah,
how do you
photos.
get it off the paper, read it off the paper with a machine and make it available across the globe? AI, the same thing. Everybody is banging their head trying to do manual stuff. Well, that's a machine. Let's get those machine things into the machine's hand. That makes us smarter. So I'm happy that you have started a journey. That's the thing to think about. Seriously, I mean it. The
Well,
journey
it's
in
amazing.
options trading, my journey in telecom, in imaging, in options trading, in data analytics. Those are all things I got started with. I didn't know where they're going to go. And there are many failures in between.
I'm actually loving the journey because what I find is uncommon is more and more is common sense, and even less common is uncommon sense. And, I was speaking at a World Economic Conference in Vietnam, and the buzzword, this is before COVID, about 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the different companies, whether it was Gardner, McKinsey, Mercedes Benz, BMW, everybody was talking about O2O. And
Mm-hmm.
at that time I was like, is that, supplemental oxygen? I didn't get the memo. What's O2O?
Well,
They're like, the future is going to be more efficiency between the online world and the offline world. So the companies that get it right in marketing and sales, doing offline and online, will be the ones that dominate in the future. And at that time, I was still connecting the dots because I had a sales force of thousands of guys throughout Southeast Asia, and
mm-hmm.
they were going door to door, or they were working in stores or business to business, doing ADT alarms, selling credit card applications, various novelty items and stuff like that. And then eventually we started selling skincare, small software, but these guys are all field agents and the human element is still there.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to touch on that because, like, a lot of these guys that are in the field, as an example, for the big cola, they have to literally go to 50 stores a day on a route. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's rural. And when they're out there going to each different store, we have to track them. So they have to check in and then they have to check out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we know the activity while they're in the store. How
Mm-hmm.
many sales did they create or what products did they sell?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I made it so simple, like all they have to do is click on an image and they can
Mm-hmm.
hand the phone to the merchant. They literally hand the phone and say, how's business? What's going on? You guys, how's your foot traffic? It looks like things are going well for you. Now they're just building a relationship, and the merchant is just adding to cart, online or offline. The app is just going to update. But I'm saving them so much time because I made it like a shopping app.
Mm-hmm.
People who are not technical, but to a merchant. So
Mm-hmm.
people who are not technical, the field agent and
Mm-hmm.
or the merchant that owns a small sorry store,
Mm-hmm.
right? They just click on images, add to cart, and
Well,
check out. Everything's done. Come on,
that's
done.
amazing. That's genius. That's actually genius. I have run to a lot of salespeople that are great in relationship, great in getting in front of people, great in conversation, but they hate updating stuff. They hate the administrative work, right? And that's unuseful time for them, right?
Yeah, and I see that's what you've been doing with your companies. Like when I read it, I'm like, I wonder at Notable, did you guys figure this thing out? Because I just use common sense. And the company's like, okay, how are you different than a lot of other, applications companies out there? And I said, well, first thing is, I'm from the field. I've been building direct sales companies for 30 years. That's number one. So I understand the pain of the salesperson because I am one. And number two, I'll go in the field with your people. I'll see all of their inefficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just blown away because they're like, well, can this work offline? Sure. As soon as they go back online, everything is uploaded and it goes all the way to your back office and your people are sending orders. You eliminate all of this data entry. And now your people, instead of hitting 50 stores, they can hit 60, they can hit 70. So As far as the
In each
solution,
one with a human touch. Each one of them, you're not supposed to be walking around with a laptop entering data in each one. You're supposed to talk to that merchant, get to know them. Where is the foot traffic? What time did they come in? What did they buy? What type of stuff do you sell? Right? That's
yeah,
paying attention and building a relationship rather than trying to capture all the data, but being dry when you walk out of that store. Right? The guy
yeah,
doesn't
there's
want
no
to see you back
relationship.
anymore.
It's just
Right.
counting the shelves earlier, counting the shelves. And they were literally just taking photos of the purchase orders and sending it to the data entry people in head office to upload it all in Excel, not
No,
even into an ERP, not
I
even
tell
into
you,
an
with
ERP.
AI, what we try to do, and it's a journey, right? You go through this sales journey, learning from each step. I tell you, one of the smartest salespeople, sales leaders that I had in my team was Dick Bosworth. Dick and Mike Bosworth are two brothers, and they're two geniuses in sales. Mike wrote books, so look up Mike Bosworth and Dick Bosworth, and you will find them. Especially Dick, was huge in what do you do in order to get better relationship? What do you do in order to be closer to your customer? What is the customer need? What are they valuing? He had methodology of developing. You walk out of a customer and you have to have, I think he called it the 6 P's identified, the pain, the pivoting event. He had a method to say, you walk out, you better be asking smart questions. So you better walk out with these 6 P's defined in your head. And that worked every time. So Mike and Dick Bosworth, Mike wrote the books. Dick he took one company to 111 million. He took my company from 7 to 45 million. He took another company, I forgot, but he has 3 runs of taking small sales teams and exploding. So I would love, I mean, he's retired now, but I would love to see you talk to Dick Bosworth. He is such a charismatic individual, and he's a leader. He's truly a leader. I admire him.
I love that you said, he's a leader. And I would love for you to make a connection for us because I love sales. To me, sales is a service. And when in service, never nervous. It's something I'm doing for you. It's help. Like since I was a little boy, my Aunt Opal used to take me to the old folks home where all of her, she was like 75. And so I would drive her when I was in Kansas. I had a license at 14. So I would drive her to the old folks home so that she could talk to all of her friends. And I would just sit there and talk to them. And because I was a young boy, it was just helping them because a lot of them didn't have friends, right? And I'm like, I enjoyed it. The stories they told me. And yet, to me, it was just service. And that's how I see sales. Sales is like, I'm here to help you accomplish something. So I'd love to meet Mike Bosworth. And
Yeah. I
because it
put you
is
in touch with Dick
methodology.
Bosworth. Dick worked for me. Mike is his brother. They are both geniuses in sales. So Dick Bosworth, but look up Mike Bosworth. He's the one who wrote the book. Yeah, we'd love to have. And this is exactly what you said. Make your mission the customer's mission and figure out what they need. Don't be selling that to them. Just become part of their team.
Yeah.
If you really adopt their mission and ask them, what are you trying to do? So, and then really be in a service environment, helping them to get there, you will be kind of doing the magic for them. And it is something that a lot of product developers, a lot of finance people don't get. They just don't have those chromosomes to understand it, right?
They don't have the DNA.
They don't
I love
have the DNA. I mean, I don't have this DNA. I admit it. I'm a CEO. I kind of like look at things in different angles and try to figure out which way things needs to go. My job is to really help everybody else. I don't have a job, and that's a good thing. And that's really the way CEOs should be. Just make sure everything is in place in order to make the next 6 months, next year easy for the leaders that you have, so they can actually drive. Now, they are HR leaders, they are sales leaders, they are marketing leaders, they got to work together Just remove the obstacle.
Yeah, I love that. Remove the obstacles. Yeah, in the early days, you know, I created the sales machine. Just a quick story. I was running about 3,000 agents, and you know, we were field sales representatives. And I found out, you know, early on that what drives people is rewards, recognition, competition, compensation, and just caring for them. Like they will go the extra mile if they are on a team more than they'll do it for themselves. They'll go the extra mile if they believe in the company's vision more than they would if they were independent. And so I took that psychology and I put it on leaderboards because we became stagnant, right? Outdated training, no digitalization, no real systems, and everything I was doing to manage over 200 offices in several different countries was manual and using Excel. And obviously I started to burn out because there's thousands of people and there was no automation. I was still maintaining, but you know, it started to dwindle. So I'm like, I've got to automate this process. So I did it on leaderboards, and then I used Excel, and then I put everybody on teams, and then I created levels of development and learning so they could consistently grow at the next level. Anyway, long story short, I had amazing success. I took 20 of the companies I was working with and on average grew them up by about 103%. The average. One was 300%, another was 50. But anyway, I'm like, this is amazing. I need to automate this. So I went to Salesforce. I went to HubSpot. I went to all these companies. I'm like, I need this. And they showed me their CRMs. And I'm like, that's fantastic. But no, that's just an address book. That's not going to help me.
Exactly.
That doesn't solve the human problem. That doesn't drive performance. I need something that drives performance with rewards, recognition, competition, and compensation so I could show my people I care. And I need it automated because I cannot do this any longer. I'm burning out, right? Just 7 days a week and working full days. And when I say full days, that's not 8 hours. Full days, 8 hours is just getting started, right?
Yeah.
I'm putting in 16. Long story short, nobody had it. So we built it ourselves. But then when I went to market, Mehdi, my challenge was, I'm like, oh, I'm going to sell this to every direct sales company because this is amazing. It's got leaderboards. It's got a learning management system. It's got a marketing platform. It's got a sales CRM, and it's got a patent pending on the accountability of achievement with all of them working together. And I'm like, everybody's going to want this. Crickets, because I was marketing to direct sales companies who were all independent distributors. So no company was like, we don't want to buy it for them. But now I discovered that all these manufacturing distribution companies who hire employees, like the colas, right? Like food manufacturers, they have thousands of agents. And guess what? They want and need these systems because they need to manage, track, and measure and improve efficiency of every single agent. And they're all field sales reps. And it's changed the game. Like it's really changed the game. Literally, we saw our first $100,000 client, right? And then we've got several lined up and proof of concepts going on. And I'm like, wow, even though I solved my own problem, when I went to market and have that value, like even with the app, it's, you know, works with the entire system, I couldn't connect those dots. So, you know, I stagnated. Have you ever had that experience?
Definitely. You get to a point that you feel you've hit a plateau, and no matter what you do, it's like remaining on that plateau. And the only way to get out of it is to think outside the box, to think differently. And I tell you, the best experience that I've had is to have people that naturally break the rule. They don't follow the norm. My brother was like that. He would try everything. And you would kind of go, slow down. That's not going to happen. And yes, it would fail 9 out of 10 times. But that one time that it kind of like took off, he would like latch on to that, right? The point being that point of stagnation needs a jolt. And that jolt comes from the people. In my experience in the background that I've had, is that people that think outside the box. They say, that's not good. You're going to continue banging your head against the same wall without any really change in the results unless you think outside and start looking at what else do I need to do? What else can I do? What tools can I use? Can I really go back to the basics and start building something else up, right? Idea about AI, and I tell you a little bit about what we do, right? The idea about AI came when so in the background, I'm an electrical engineer, so I'm technical myself, though my engineers throw me out of the room. You talk like an engineer, but you're not an engineer. I say, okay, I give you that. I'm not into the coding of stuff, but the idea came about when we realized the machines are getting really smart. They can actually read conversations and understand conversations, right? This is 4 years before ChatGPT became ChatGPT, and we were creating graphs out of relationships. We were reading meetings and minutes and emails and say, there is a whole lot of relationships in here. Does everybody know every relationship? And we were like, no, people don't know what Mehdi and John are talking about on email. They're going on having the same conversation, making the same mistakes because they don't know. So as soon as we learn that, we start saying, why don't we go to a company and automate this whole graph, listening to email conversations, respecting people's privacy, respecting people's security, but putting it in a box that now it starts mapping the whole thing up. All of a sudden we said, email and creating a graph out of email is really interesting. But what if we connect this to LinkedIn? What if then we take a look at your web traffic and map your web traffic to who's coming to your website, given all the communication around your company? What if we have a personality profiling of people who are visiting your website? So when you go back to them, you can actually be very constructive in your communication with them. Like imagine to do these 4 things manually. Impossible. Categorize all the emails, categorize all the meetings, try to connect the dots together. Impossible. No CRM will level. No salesperson will do a summary to connect all these things. Like if you sit down with a sales team and say you have to summarize every meeting that you go to, they probably like you, they will say yes, but they walk out saying, forget it. I'm going to sell my next deal. Baby needs some shoes, right? I'm not going to sit down and write 10 meeting summaries for you and miss the next 10 calls, right? We know that, right? So that's where the AI came from. The AI said, I can be an assistant sitting next to you, giving you the summary of whatever is happening to the next client you're meeting with across your company, so you can walk in there pretty prepared. Oh, yes, you can. Yes, I can. I can actually give you, they have met with customer success. They have had good meeting with the product team. This is what they talked about. And the person you're meeting, this is the personality profile of the meeting, of the person. Now you walk in there with some gold in your hand. You're not going to be surprised. That's what the AI does, right? So take that as the beginnings of our journey, right? We called it the knowledge net. So it begins to learn. The brain becomes richer and richer as it connects to different sources of information, your CRM, for example. Then we started saying, what if you actually create a playbook and define your ICPs and then say, connect it to Zoom info and Apollo and the public databases and say, I'm trying to go to Northeast. I'm looking for medical device companies. I'm looking for the chief financial officer of the medical device companies. It gives you the list. Say, well, which one of these things are really matching my profile? So out of 2,500 CFOs, it's going to give you the 150. Now you can focus. Out of this 150, which one of them have we talked to in the past 3 years? 50. Oh, which one of them do we have a connection in LinkedIn? 5. Now I have 5 to go after rather than 2,500, right? That's the AI magic, because it's like a 24 assistant you define a playbook for, and you say, this is your playbook, execute. Because it's learning,
Go get me prospect.
it's going to find you the right ones so you don't waste your time.
Yeah,
Time
maybe,
is what you are doing.
it's so funny. It's so funny. For years, I've been preaching to the choir, not an engineer, and nor have I've built software, but by just directing what I wanted. But I'm not an engineer. And I've been saying for years, as long as we can get the psychology, service, solving problems, and making sure clients are satisfied, and that's from Zig Ziglar. As long as we have that psychology, win in service, never nervous. But we need to take that psychology and put it in a methodology. And that methodology is next level sales. This is my framework, where we literally take people from where they are to where they want to be. And we use that acronym NEXT, all about their needs, not all about us. What are the economic factors involved? The cost of inaction or the return on investment. What are the economic factors that's going to allow us to move forward or hold back them from getting to the next level? What are the X factors? Because, in B2B business, we're talking about, multiple decision makers and or lack of infrastructure, lack of leadership. What are the X factors that's stopping them from going to the next level? And then obviously it's the timing. And when we incorporate that psychology with the methodology, my directive to the engineers is we have to put it in technology, the psychology, the methodology, and the technology, so that companies can all be better, faster, more efficient. And the salespeople can just use the system as their co-pilot to do all the redundant stuff that, doesn't need to be done when building a relationship. And now there's AI. And that's my initiative moving forward for this year, because imagine if I can make it so simple out there for that field sales rep. And field sales reps aren't going away. They're not for at least 20 years. And even then, nothing's going to stop human connection. And there's this, conversation out there, will AI replace humans? But like, if we know innately that there's conditions, like when a baby is born, if that baby isn't touched, there's a syndrome or a condition. If that baby's not touched in the first month or 5 to 6 weeks, a lot of babies die because there's no human connection. So AI is not going to go rub your tummy.
Yep.
We will always.
You have a perfect scenario, actually. There's a company I work with in field data collection. It's not sales, it's field data collection, right? Give you an example. Seed in agriculture, when you plant seeds that are new type of seeds, a person physically has to go out there and inspect the growth and report back. Okay, this is growing fine, but this one is in a drier area and it's not really doing well. The buds are coming out of this guy, but the insects are eating that type of this is a physical type of work that an expert looks at, and there is automation in there. How? Take pictures of the plants, take pictures of the leaves or the fruits, right? But still, somebody has to talk and say, well, this is happening, that's not happening, this is where it's going, and so on. That physical inspection of and data collection of is the hardest thing for AI to replace. Another one is physical inspection of a medical facility. Yeah, you can send a robot and take pictures, but when you go in there, talk to the building manager, talk to the building owner, talk to the chief security guy to see if the security is taken care of. Talk to the building maintenance people to see how the building is actually maintained, right? That's physical saying, I'm going to be there for that owner of the building to say, are they taken care of? Or for the medical facility to say, is this building healthy? That's where the physical world is 20 years still, from my viewpoint as well, that is not going to get replaced by AI and robots. AI is augmentation, is augmented intelligence. You help that inspector to do better by having a camera that maybe find something faster than the inspector does and make the inspector pay attention to some area that matches certain criteria for that. But
Yeah,
the
and you were
salesperson is the same thing. Salesperson have to go in there, talk to that individual, build that. That's not what AI does. But if you have augmented intelligence with that salesperson, then they can focus on building stronger relationships. That's how I
and
see it.
yeah, I love how you see it. And just like you said, when you talked about Mike Bosworth writing the 6 Ps, and then Dick, who was a legend, a genius sales agent, the best people I've ever met in sales, number one, they're in service. And no matter what, I've trained tens of thousands of salespeople, and the best ones are having the best time. Sales is joyful for them. It's not, an icky, sticky occupation. It's like, I'm here to help you. I've got something good. And I want to get into why I know that AI is not going to replace salespeople, because the greatest salesmen can read the room. They have situational intelligence. AI is not going to walk in a store and there's a different situation going on, or they have to talk to the owner of a company, but the owner of the company is potentially handling a customer right now who's upset or dealing with an employee. AI is not going to read the room. That salesman walks in and he's going to see if there's a commotion or is that business owner busy? Because you don't go up to that business owner when he's busy. Go check stock. Go talk to somebody else and see what's going on in the store, because you can read the room. AI is not going to be able to walk in and read the room, not even in 20 years. I mean, and if it does, how much are those robots going to be? Or drones? And, they're going to be annoying.
It's not even efficient for the human relationship, right? It's the relationship between two humans, I believe, is not going to be replaced with a human to a robot relationship, no matter how realistic you can make. And we're years away from that, but no matter how realistic you make that, it's not going to be one that I will shake the hand and say, this guy understands me, this guy comes from my background, or this guy has similar experience, or this guy, you mentioned something. You walk into the store, you detect certain things, the temperature in the room, or the way that the stress level of the owner is, the amount of time that this guy is spent today. And you might say, I come back tomorrow. Hey, looks like you got something on your hands. And they love that fact that you are sensitive to, right? Those are the type of things when I see it, like, yes, it's going to take me longer to come back tomorrow and do the same thing, but there is a relationship now built. I walked out of here expecting, hey, a sale, but I let it go because there's a human on the other side that actually understands that, hey, this is not a good day. Let's touch base again, right? So the sales is an art. The sales is the most successful. Again, I say the most successful is the salespeople are the ones who understand the reason the owner is coming to work, and they adopt that same reason. They say, I am just like you. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm trying to figure your problems out.
Yeah, Mehdi, I could have definitely used you or used your brain 7 years ago when I started this journey. You could have slapped me around and said, John, just tell us what happens in the field. Let us build it. And because, I had to learn what are sprints and how to write a ticket, and technical business analysts, their roles, and the engineering roles. And I got to tell you, I'm not that guy. I learned it because I'm the CEO and I'm the owner, and I bootstrapped this thing. And when you're bootstrapping and you don't have any clients, not a lot of people believe in you, but I believe in me. So anyway, where were you, man? I should have started this podcast years ago. But no, I love the fact that you jumped on here, because this is going to be enlightening for so many individuals. My initiative this year is AI incorporated in the sales machine to be a co-pilot to make companies better, faster, more efficient, so that our system in actuality pays for itself. Because at the end of the day, in the absence of value, the customer always goes back to the price. It's how much is it going to cost? And my whole psychology is it should pay for itself. In actuality, our system's going to pay for itself. Regardless of what you invest, you're going to double your investment in either savings or increased sales. And that's why it's a win again and again and again and again. And that's the thing. So how have you went from Notable and now into KnowledgeNet.ai? I mean, you were doing this 4 years before ChatGPT. And what I know is there's language models and there's machine learning models. But now you don't really have to build AI. You just plug in to AI, right? Did you build, did Knowledge build its own AI, KnowledgeNet, or are you piggybacking on one of the big ones?
No, we stand on the shoulders
What is the machine of AI? Because I'm not going to build it. I'm just going to plug in.
Yeah. No, we stand on the shoulders of giants like OpenAI and Gemini, and those large engines are fundamental engines that we use them to actually plug into our data. Our focus is understanding the data, sorting it out to the most valuable elements of it, because there's just too much data to feed and build a large language model. It's super expensive to do that. Now, if you're in sales and you have 20,000 products and you have technical information about those products, or KnowledgeNet, and if you have conversations and proposals around those 20,000 part IDs, our KnowledgeNet actually focuses on understanding that sliver of critical information to help your sales team, not to throw the world of information and then expect a large language model to answer your questions precisely. Additionally, what we have done is KnowledgeNet allows you to build that DNA of sales through what we call playbooks. So in a playbook, in a sales playbook, you're very familiar with it. You want to know your ideal customer profile. Where am I going? What type of individuals I'm going after? What is our value prop? Are we delivering a better product? Are we delivering it faster? What are the stack of the value props? Then you start digging deeper in a playbook, which is in AI actually identifying what are the obstacles you're going to run into. What are the questions that you should ask if you run into those obstacles? Hey, the guy says, yeah, this is great, but I don't have the budget. Well, there are 4 questions you need to ask when they say, I don't have the budget now. When are you going to have the budget? What are you valuing most when you have the money, right? We know that, but the ability to capture that in a playbook so you can feed it into your large language model is KnowledgeNet's job. Now you go to market with a very well structured ability to train and get your next sales and next your customer identified, a list of your customer identified, and scripting of what you are supposed to tell them. You feed that into your marketing machine and your emails will go perfectly. You feed that into your sales team because you have the playbook well identified and tested. Now your sales team training is easier, right?
Absolutely. And question. So say you're a startup, say you've only got, 10 major clients, and essentially you don't have all of the data now or right now, but you've just, like I just figured out my ICP. I know what I can do better than others. And that's, I can eliminate administration tasks and simplify the sales process to make companies better, faster, more efficient, because I can make their people better, faster, more efficient, because I eliminate the administration and I simplify the sales process to the point where the merchant himself can take the phone from the field sales rep and just click on the pictures and quantities he wants and check out, just like an e-commerce platform. But now it's business to business. And I'm replenishing everything I need as a merchant by having a conversation, and the sales agent just split the time in half that it used to take. But I don't have all of the data yet, as an example. So how do you see it playing out, me incorporating AI into my system as an example? And this question is not just being selfish. It's because a lot of companies want to know how they can incorporate AI into their solutions to be better, faster, more efficient. What would be your approach?
Sure. One area is, first of all, we give you certain set of data by plugging into your backend. Let's say you do have some emails. Maybe you're a one-year-old company. You have only 10 customers, but there is maybe 10 proposals that has been going out to those customers. If you feed that to KnowledgeNet, it learns who have you been talking to in the customers you're winning. You talk to 10 different personas. You talk to the financial guy, you talk to the retail guy, you talk to, okay, so now you have some knowledge. Now, if I'm sending my sales rep out and they are capturing conversation, recording it, you can turn that recording into data. That recording about what sells most, who's walking in here most, what type of audiences do you serve? You have those conversations that kind of helps you understand that retailer better. That's actually data. That every time you have that conversation that leads into that, taking that mobile phone and touching the products they want, well, that conversation that caused the guy to buy more Coke and less of this soda and that particular product more is valuable. It should be able to help the next rep in the next county to say, oh, that's how that best sales guy one county over is selling, is having that conversation. Because that conversation, AI, just like a good assistant, in our case, listens to those conversations, breaks it apart, and says, here are the data you can extract from. And that data, you can then say, who sells the most of this product? That guy does. Let's listen in on their conversation. How many times did they say, this product has this attribute? It has the best, most amount of sugar, or least amount of sugar. That's the reason that guy is selling the most, is understanding of that conversation. So that data is there. AI helps you create it and structure it without any effort. No summarizing of your next, you walk out, you have to summarize what your conversation was. It will do it for you and share it among your team. That's how KnowledgeNet is taking the next little leap into a successful sales process.
I love it. I love it. And I'm definitely going to incorporate it and look how we can play together, because this is a big playground. And like you said, it's really about making the most out of the data to make better decisions faster.
Yeah. And what we call it is hydration. So once you learn it, let's say you use your example. The guy walks in, have a conversation about products they're selling or what's up today, and the guy makes an order on his cell phone, touching few pictures, ordering, and so on. The guy walks out. That data needs to hydrate the sales automation system. We are not the sales automation. We are the AI that is listening and learning, the brain that getting enriched. Now, the question becomes, do I push that into Salesforce? Do I push that into
the sales machine?
Sales machine? And the sales machine now can say, I got it. Now I'm beginning to have AI capability on sales machine without having all the AI engineering and AI large language model and playbook design, none of that. It's just hydration of the sales automation engine.
It's brilliant. I mean, Mehdi, you're amazing. You're amazing. Like, I love what you're doing. I love you've
my
been
team
doing.
Is. Don't give me credit. All those engineers who throw me
all right,
out
I take it all back.
amazing.
All right, I take it all back. But Mehdi, is it Mehdi or Mehdi?
Mehdi. So it's like a silent between and a D. Mehdi.
Okay, Mehdi. And so I want to take a step back. One, when you were talking about the prospecting aspect, where now it's so efficient, you can nail down your ICP or your niche, and you can use Zoom Info, you can use Apollo, and you can find out your ICP and get to them quicker.
Yeah.
But not only that, can you also, is there technology out there to identify if they've actually your ICP has searched for a software solution.
So that's what we call signals. So
Yep.
we have a number of customers who have asked us to identify signals in social networks. So for example, a construction company is asking us for a particular region to identify who is looking at a particular signal in Instagram. So they would put things in Instagram for that region, and because of the traffic generated, our AI engine can say, these are the signals. Now, if you want to feed that signal, Apollo and Zoom Info are integrated into our platform. So as soon as those things kind of get started, you are able to see the signals where it helps you narrow the field down to the individuals who are looking for, rather than doing a gunshot formation to go out there and look for them. You are finding people who are looking for.
Yeah. And so this is going to be the last question. I have a back-to-back podcast, and V, you need to contact the Rebel and tell him he came on. We'll edit this all out, Mehdi.
Okay.
Last question. And we're going to send you resources and all of this raw, and we're going to send you it edited. And then we're going to make lots of social media clips for you. So you just can post them and use them. And then we have a WhatsApp group of a lot of people like Aaron Ross, who built Salesforce, and Mark Roberge, who built HubSpot. Lots of these guys have been on the podcast, legends in sales. I mean, even Jeffrey Gitomer, Keenan, Gap Selling. Anyway, we've created a WhatsApp group so we can all communicate together. I'd love to have you on there.
Oh, I would love to. I would love to kind of listen in, see what the conversations are, and be helpful. Be kind of jump in, add certain things that I feel strongly about AI, about how things are going. Salesforce is an incredible company, and I would love to be able to kind of like contribute to those.
Sure. And, you know, the conversation needs to start happening more often between all of these leaders. But the final question I'm going to ask you, and my team will reach out and get your address, not so we can stalk you, but so I can send you a gift for being on the show. And I would love to reach out again, Mehdi, to see how I can incorporate KnowledgeNet into the sales machine.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This is one of our strengths.
100%. And learning from all these field sales reps from these big cola companies and or manufacturing or pharma. Pharma has field sales reps. So love to feed into that ecosystem and see not only what I can learn or how it can help us, but also how it can help you.
100%.
So last question is, if you could go back in time, what's one piece of advice you would give your younger entrepreneurial self to jumpstart growth, but right now?
That's an interesting question. It's a tough question. There's so many things. So one thing I would say is don't be afraid. Never be afraid. Things are going to work out, and always kind of look at any failure as a win. Just learn from it and keep that attitude going forward, because there's just, I've been through, as you can imagine, 4 or 5 startups and exited them into large companies. And there has been moments where you have to look at the face of death and you say, you can't have me. You cannot have me. You know, it don't matter what, you know, you're not going to have me. So just don't be scared. Keep your cool. Every failure is a lesson. Look at it that way. Every failure is a lesson.
That was absolutely priceless, because I've faced death. I've had to sell cars to make payroll.
Yeah. You and I, the same thing. I've had the next day, literally, this is a true story. We were going to be thrown by the sheriff out of our office because we haven't made the rent for now 6 months, right? We're going to throw. And this is day before we talked about, hey, we have this account. They owe us $100,000. Can we give them like 50% discount and have the check tomorrow? We said, that's our last chance. If we don't want that, we have to carry the check and deliver it. This is 25 years ago. Literally, we contacted that individual, got that check next day, I walked into that office and said, here's the check, and the company continued. We would have been thrown out. And this is the same company that was sold for 9 digits.
Amen. Amen and amen.
Thrown out of the building.
I get it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look at the eyes of death and say, you can't have it.
Can't have them.
You cannot have it.
That's priceless advice, Mehdi. I'd love to have you on again. I'd love to have another conversation. Who do I reach out to incorporate KnowledgeNet into our system? Should I talk directly to you?
Send me an email. I'll put you in the contact with the right people.
All right. You've been absolutely wonderful. I'm so grateful. I will do an introduction and I'll send you the intro. I love to do intro for my guests. But more than that, I just like to have a conversation and build a relationship. And I'm glad we got to do that today.
Me too. I'm really glad. I really love our conversation and I look forward to talking to you again.
All right. Thanks, Mehdi. That's a wrap, folks. Thanks for joining me today. And if you got value from this episode, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and refer a friend. And if you want even more value, go to thesalesmachine.com, click on resources, and there's tons of resources there to increase profits and drive performance in your business. Right on, come on.